Rebirth in Mahabharat as Bahubali Chapter 51-60. Chapter 51, Bahubali's Resolve. Far from the caverns of Patala Lok, where Rudra honed his body, mind, and spirit under Asura Shukrakarya's rigorous tutelage, Magadha thrived under Bahubali's just and vigilant rule. The kingdom's prosperity shone like a beacon in Aryavrat, its markets overflowed with silks and spices, its gurukuls echoed with the chants of diverse scholars, and its armories forged weapons of unparalleled strength. On this bright morning in Rajgir, Bahubali sat in the grand Sabha hall, its marble pillars adorned with carvings of Shiva's Trishul. Clad in a gold-embroidered dhoti, his Rudrakshmala resting against his chest, he presided over a meeting with his ministers, each seated on cushioned mats, scrolls and palm leaves spread before them. The air was thick with the scent of sandalwood from a nearby heaven, and sunlight streamed through latticed windows, casting intricate patterns on the floor. Bahubali's gaze was steady, his presence commanding yet approachable, as he invited the first report. Minister Sahdeva, his grey beard neatly trimmed, rose with a scroll in hand. Maharaj, the Gangetic plains yield a bountiful harvest this season. Rice and wheat stores overflow, enough to feed Magadha for 2 years. New irrigation channels, built per your decree, have doubled the yield in eastern villages. The farmers sing your praises, calling you the giver of plenty. He bowed, presenting a tablet etched with yield figures. Bahubali nodded, his voice calm but resolute. Well done, Sahdeva. Ensure surplus grain reaches the needy. Open more granaries in remote hamlets. No child or elder should sleep hungry in Magadha. Sahdeva bowed again, noting the order, his eyes reflecting pride in his king's compassion. Next, Minister Amritabhushan, overseer of education, spoke, his voice clear. Maharaj, your vision for Gurukuls flourishes. Over 50 new schools now teach children of all Varnas, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras side by side. The syllabus includes the Vedas, all types of crafts and trade. There is also training in weapons, and now, as you instructed, basic healing arts. He smiled, handing Bahubali a palm leaf inscribed with a child's shlokas. Bahubali's lips curved slightly. Knowledge is Dharma's root, Amrita. Ensure teachers are rewarded, and let no child be turned away, regardless of birth. Send scholars to train village teachers. Magadha's light must reach every corner. Amrita nodded, her resolve mirroring her king's. The final minister, Synopsis Vikram, reported on the military. Maharaj, our armories have crafted 1,000 new swords and shields, infused with alloys from the eastern mines, as per your design. The Nayati Rakshak's training grounds expand, and our spies report no immediate threats to our borders. Your reforms make Magadha's army unmatched in Aryavrat. He presented a polished dagger as a sample, its hilt carved with a lotus. Bahubali examined the blade, his voice firm. Strength serves peace, Vikram. Keep the army vigilant but never aggressive. And ensure the forges aid farmers with tools as well. Vikram bowed, his loyalty unwavering. The people's trust is our true wealth, Bahubali concluded. Dharma thrives only when all flourish. The ministers bowed, their loyalty reaffirmed, as the Sabha concluded. After a modest lunch of saffron rice, dal, and fresh fruits in the palace's airy dining hall, Bahubali made his way to a secluded chamber, its walls draped in dark silk to conceal its purpose. Here, he met with the leaders of the Nayati Rakshak, cloaked in plain robes, their faces shadowed to protect their identities. One by one, they reported on their missions across Aryavrat, a corrupt merchant exposed in Chennai, a cruel landlord humbled in Kosala, an unjust tax collector ousted in Vidarbha. Bahubali listened, his eyes sharp, nodding as each report confirmed the Rakshak's silent vigilance. The final Nayati Rakshak, a tall figure with a voice like tempered steel, stepped forward, bowing deeply. Maharaj, we bring grave news from the Virat kingdom. Kichak, their commander-in-chief, commits atrocities unchecked, extorting villagers, harassing the innocent, and defying Dharma. We submitted proof of his crimes to King Viratasava, as per your command, but the king, fearing Kichik's might, has failed to act. Kichik's strength is formidable, and our warriors, though skilled, cannot confront him without risking exposure. Bahubali's jaw tightened, his gaze darkening like a storm over Kailash. Kichik's name was known across Aryavrat, a warrior of immense power but a heart corrupted by arrogance. Kichik's tyranny mocks Dharma, Bahubali said, his voice steady but laced with resolve. You've done well to bring this to me. Leave Kichik to my hand, I will deal with him personally. For now, cease any action against him. Provide me with surveillance reports, his movements, his allies, his habits. The Nayati Rakshak's strength lies in precision, not haste. Understood. The Rakshak leader bowed, his voice firm. As you command, Maharaj. We will watch Kichik and report every detail to you. Bahubali nodded, his mind already strategizing. Good. Let no innocent suffer under his shadow while we prepare. Magadha's justice will reach Virat in time. With a final gesture, Bahubali dismissed the meeting, the Nayati Rakshak vanishing into the palace's secret passages like specters. Alone, he stood by a window overlooking Rajgir's bustling streets, his thoughts heavy. Kichik's might was a challenge, but Bahubali's heart burned with fire. Dharma would prevail, as it always had under his reign. Meanwhile, in Patala, Rudra trained relentlessly, unaware of the storm brewing in Aryavrat, his young heart set on mastering the Azure Guru's teachings, his Rudraksha constant reminder of the Dharma he would one day uphold alongside his father. Chapter 52, The Fall of Kichik. For 3.5 months, the Nayati Rakshak delivered weekly updates, their scrolls detailing Kichik's relentless oppression, extorting villagers, intimidating merchants, and defying King Virata's feeble attempts at control. Bahubali pored over each report in his private chamber, waiting for the opportune moment to act. Kichik's arrogance knows no boundary, he murmured, his eyes like smoldering coals. His time will come. The opportunity arrived when a Nayati Rakshak messenger reported that Kichik planned a hunting trip in the forests beyond Virat's borders. Maharaj, he leaves in a week, accompanied by a small retinue of soldiers, the messenger said, bowing. Bahubali's lips curved into a grim smile. Perfect. Let him stray from his lair. Prepare a final report on his movements, and inform no one of my plans. The messenger nodded, vanishing into the shadows. A week later, Bahubali, cloaked in the dark robes of a Nayati Rakshak, his face concealed by a black mask, rode alone to Virat's dense forests. His mighty horse moved silently through the undergrowth, its hooves muffled by moss. Bahubali waited in a clearing, hidden among banyans, his Ujjaybau, a divine weapon blessed by Mahadev, strung and ready. The forest hummed with live crickets chirping, a distant deer rustling, but Bahubali's focus was razor sharp, his prayers to Shiva anchoring his resolve. As dawn broke, Kichik's hunting party appeared, their laughter coarse and careless. Kichik, a hulking figure in polished armor, rode at the center, his gada slung across his chariot, his soldiers joking about their spoils. Bahubali's eyes narrowed. Raising his Ujjaybau, he chanted softly, summoning the Nagapash Astra. Serpentine ropes of divine energy shot forth, binding Kichik's soldiers in an instant, their bodies frozen mid-step, unable to move. They gasped, struggling against the invisible coils, their weapons clattering to the ground. Kichik, untouched, roared, his voice shaking the trees. Who dares strike my men? Show yourself, coward, and face my wrath. His eyes scanned the forest, his gada raised, gleaming with menace. Bahubali stepped from the shadows, his Nayati Rakshak robes flowing, his masked face a specter of justice. Kichik's gaze locked onto him, his face twisting with fury. Coward! Hiding behind a mask? Remove it, or I'll crush your skull. Bahubali spread his arms, his voice calm but taunting, resonating with authority. If you're so capable, Kichik, come remove it yourself. Enraged, Kichik leapt from his chariot, his massive gada swinging in his hands. He charged, swinging the weapon with bone-shattering force, but Bahubali dodged with a slight tilt of his body, the gada grazing his cloak. Kichik attacked again, a flurry of consecutive strikes, each one a thunderclap, but Bahubali moved like a shadow, sidestepping each blow with the grace of a dancer. Is dodging all you can do? Kichik bellowed, his face red with frustration. Bahubali, silent, dodged another swing, then lunged forward, his fist slamming into Kichik's gut. The punch dented the commander's armor, and Kichik winced, staggering slightly. Undeterred, he swung again, but Bahubali's agility outmatched him, each dodge followed by a precise strike, fists hammering dents into Kichik's armor at his ribs, chest, and shoulders. The metal groaned under the assault, and Kichik's breaths grew ragged. Fed up, Kichik roared, discarding his gada and tearing off his battered armor, the plates clanging to the ground. Fight me like a man, he snarled, charging with bare fists. The two warriors clashed, fists flying in a brutal dance. Kichik's strength was immense, his punches like battering rams, but Bahubali's Vajra body and skill gave him the upper hand, weaving through strikes with preternatural speed. He landed blow after blow, each one weakening the tyrant. Finally, Bahubali saw his moment. As Kichik lunged, Bahubali sidestepped, delivering a decisive punch to Kichik's temple. The commander staggered, his eyes glazing, and collapsed to his knees. Bahubali swiftly moved behind, his arm locking around Kichik's neck in a relentless choke hold. Kichik thrashed, gasping, but Bahubali's grip, fueled by Dharma's fire, held firm until the tyrant's struggles ceased, his body limp in death. Rising, Bahubali faced the bound soldiers, their eyes wide with fear. His voice was cold, unwavering. Take Kichik's body to Virat. Tell your king to rule justly, or the same fate awaits him. The Nayati Rakshak sees all, and Dharma spares none who defy it. With a gesture, he released the Nagapash Astra, the soldiers collapsing, free but trembling. Bahubali whistled softly, and his horse emerged from the forest's edge, its mane gleaming in the dawn light. He mounted swiftly, his masked figure a shadow against the trees, and rode back toward Magadha, the weight of justice settled in his heart. As he galloped, he touched his Rudraksh, murmuring a prayer to Mahadev. Bholanath, guide my path, as I uphold your Dharma. In Magadha, the palace awaited his return, unaware of the silent victory won in Virat's forests. Chapter 53, The Rajaswaya's Challenge. 5 years had passed since Bahubali, cloaked as a Nayati Rakshak, felled the tyrant Kichik in Virat's forests, his act of justice rippling across Aryavrat as a silent warning to oppressors. In Magadha, Bahubali's reign had only grown stronger, his kingdom a fortress of prosperity and dharma, its Nayati Rakshak vigilant as ever. Meanwhile, in Patala Lok, Rudra, now 15, continued his rigorous training under Ajurguru Shukrakarya, mastering astras and dharma's subtleties, his Rudraksha constant anchor to Mahadev's grace. Far from Magadha's borders, in the opulent halls of Indraprastha, now 15 years since its founding, the Pandavas gathered in a grand Sabha with Lord Sri Krishna. The chamber, adorned with lotus carvings and gem-encrusted pillars, buzzed with ambition. Yudhishthira, the Dharmaraja, sat on a silver throne, his brothers Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva flanking him, their faces alight with purpose. Krishna, in a resplendent yellow dhoti, his peacock feather crown glinting, listened as Yudhishthira proposed the Rajaswaya Yagna to crown himself emperor of Aryavrat, a ritual demanding the submission or conquest of all kingdoms. The Rajaswaya will unite Aryavrat under Dharma's banner, Yudhishthira said, his voice measured. But we must strategize which kingdoms to approach. Some will join willingly, others may resist. The brothers nodded, scrolls of maps and alliances spread before them. Bhima, his massive frame leaning forward, spoke eagerly. Most kingdoms will bow to our might, Jesht. Kuru, Panchala, and Matsya are already allies. We'll conquer the rest Kasi, Kosala, even the distant Chedai. Arjuna added, my Gandhava will silence any who defy us. Let's list the kingdoms and plan our campaign. As they named regions, Magadha arose. Krishna's eyes twinkled, his voice calm but firm. Magadha is no ordinary foe. Bahubali, Magadha Naresh, is a warrior of unmatched valor and a king of Dharma. Send an envoy to negotiate a treaty, Dharmaraja. Let him join your banner through alliance, not conflict. Bhima scoffed, his voice booming. What? Fear defeat by that Sudha? I could crush him with my mace in a heartbeat. Arjuna, his pride flaring, nodded. Krishna, my Gandhava has no equal. I'd defeat Bahubali before the sun sets. Krishna's smile was enigmatic, his tone carrying a warning. Bahubali is a better warrior than all of you combined, Parth. His strength, skill, and devotion to Mahadev make him formidable. Heed my counsel, Dharmaraja, seek peace with Magadha. If you choose war, don't return to me saying I didn't warn you. Yudhishthira glanced at his brothers, their faces brimming with confidence. Bhima flexed his fists, Arjuna gripped his bow, and even Nakula and Sahadeva nodded in agreement. Krishna, Yudhishthira said, his voice steady, I trust my brother's strength. With them by my side, I fear no challenge. We'll proceed with the Rajaswaya and face Magadha if needed. Krishna shook his head, his smile tinged with amusement. As you wish, Dharmaraja. May Dharma guide your path. He leaned back, knowing the Pandavas' pride would soon meet Bahubali's resolve and shatter. The Pandavas began preparations, their Sava buzzing with plans for the Rajaswaya Yagna, set to commence in 1 month. Indraprastha's forges roared, crafting weapons, while messengers rallied allies and spies mapped rival kingdoms. When the Yagna began, the Pandavas' armies marched forth, bringing kingdom after kingdom under their banner. Kasi fell through diplomacy, Kosala through a swift skirmish, and Chedai through a display of Arjuna's archery. 8 months of conquest brought them to Magadha's borders, its towering gates and fertile plains a testament to Bahubali's rule. At dawn, as the Pandava army encamped on Magadha's frontier, Arjuna stepped forward, his Gandhava gleaming. With a single arrow with a message, inscribed with a challenge, he shot toward the palace of Magadha, its thud echoing like a drum of war. Within the palace, Bahubali, clad in a crimson dhoti, his Rudrakshmala gleaming, received the report. His ministers urged caution, but Bahubali's eyes burned with calm resolve. The Pandavas seek Magadha submission, he said, rising from his lion-carved throne. Let us meet them not with swords drawn, but with words first. Accompanied by a small retinue of Nayati Rakshak, their faces veiled, Bahubali strode out of Magadha's gates, his Vajra-like frame towering yet serene. The Pandava army stretched before him, banners fluttering, Bhima's mace and Arjuna's Gandhava prominent. Yudhishthira stood at the center, his expression regal but wary. Bahubali halted, his voice steady, resonating across the field. Pranipat, Dharmaraja Yudhishthira, Panduputran. I am Bahubali, Naresh of Magadha. You've called for a duel, but I seek words first. Why do you march on Magadha, and what does your Rajaswaya demand of us? The air grew thick with tension, the Pandavas' confidence meeting Bahubali's unyielding calm. Chapter 54, The Duel at Magadha's Borders. The borders of Magadha stood silent under the midday sun, the vast Pandava army arrayed in gleaming ranks, their banners fluttering in the breeze. Bahubali strode out from Rajgir's towering gates, his presence a tower of calm strength in a simple white dhoti and Angavastram, a jaidansu slung across his back. The Pandavas Yudhishthira on a golden chariot, Bhima with his mace, Arjuna with Gandhava, Nakula and Sahadeva armed and alert watched from their lines, their faces a mix of determination and arrogance. Bahubali spoke. Pranipat, Dharmaraja Yudhishthira, mighty Pandavas. I am Bahubali, Naresh of Magadha. Welcome to my borders, though I sense your purpose is not one of peace. Speak what brings you here with such a force. Yudhishthira, his regal bearing steady, stepped forward, his voice formal yet commanding. Pranipat, Magadha Naresh Bahubali. We come as part of the Rajaswaya Yagna, to unite Aryavrat under Dharma's banner. As emperor-to-be, I seek your kingdom's submission, to join us in prosperity and justice. Though you know this, let us discuss as allies, not foes. Bahubali's gaze swept over Yudhishthira and his brothers, noting Bhima's clenched fists, Arjuna's grip on Gandhava, and the twins' eager stances, their army sprawling behind like a sea of steel. He smiled faintly, his tone measured but unyielding. Dharmaraja, your yagna is noble, a call to unity under Dharma. Yet Magadha stands sovereign, its people thriving under reforms that honor all. I will not join your empire, nor bend to conquest. If war is your path, I'm ready, but let's spare the common soldiers suffering for your ambitions. Face me in a one-on-one duel, or all 5 brothers at once. The choice is yours, Yudhishthira. Let Dharma decide, not bloodshed. Bhima's face reddened, his voice booming like thunder. Insolent Sutaputra. You dare challenge us all? I'll crush you alone. Arjuna, his bow raised, snarled, Gandhava will silence your arrogance, Bahubali. Nakula and Sahadeva drew their swords, their expressions furious. You underestimate the Pandavas. Yudhishthira raised his hand, silencing them, his voice calm but edged with authority. Brothers, hold. Bahubali's offer is bold, but I have faith in our strength. We accept one-on-one duels. Arjuna, step forward, show Magadha the might of Gandhava. Arjuna nodded, his eyes blazing, mounting his charioteer whipping the horses toward the open field. Bahubali willed rush me forward, its white horses charging with ethereal grace, the chariot gleaming gold. The armies watched, tension thick as the conch shells blew, signaling the duel's start. Arjuna began cautiously, loosing normal arrows to gauge Bahubali's skill, shafts whistling like vultures. Bahubali countered effortlessly, his Ajidansu singing, arrows clashing mid-air in bursts of light. For an hour, the field echoed with the twang of bows and the thud of collisions, Arjuna's face hardening as Bahubali matched him shot for shot. Bhima muttered, Arjuna's testing him, soon he'll crush that Sutaputra. Yudhishthira nodded, patience, Bhimsen. Arjuna's Gandhava will prevail. Frustrated by the stalemate, Arjuna invoked Divya Astras. He loosed the Agniastra, arrows blazing like comets, igniting the air. Bahubali countered with the Varun Astra, summoning rain to quench the flames in a hissing steam. Arjuna's Vaivastra whipped up a gale, dust swirling like a tornado, but Bahubali's own Vaivastra countering it. The Pandavas watched, Bhima growling, that bow matches Gandhava. How? Nakula whispered, he's toying with Arjuna, by Trata. Sahadeva frowned, his counters are perfect. The duel raged till the sun hung low, 1 hour from setting. Fed up, Arjuna chanted for the Brahmastra, a golden arrow of catastrophic power surging toward Bahubali. But Bahubali, unfazed, invoked the Brahmadanda Astra, a counter-force that neutralized the weapon in a blinding explosion, the shockwave rippling across the field. The Pandavas staggered, Arjuna's face paling. Impossible, he gasped. Bhima roared, that Sutaputra's Astras rival ours. Bahubali, ending the play, grew serious, loosing arrows at triple speed, each shaft a blur. Arjuna countered desperately, but the collisions crept closer, the impact jarring his chariot. Bahubali accelerated further, arrows hailing like monsoon rain, overwhelming Arjuna's defenses. The Pandavas watched in horror, Yudhishthira murmuring, his speed. It's unfathomable. Bhima clenched his fists, Arjuna, fight back. Nakula and Sahdeva exchanged worried glances. He's too fast. Finally, Bahubali chanted for the Nagpash Astra, serpentine ropes coiling toward Arjuna. Arjuna tried to counter, invoking the Garud Astra, but Bahubali's speed prevailed. The Astra bound him, Gandhava falling from his grasp. Arjuna slumped, defeated, as the crowd gasped. Bahubali lowered his bow, his voice echoing, "The duel is over. Arjuna, you fought with honor." The Pandavas rushed to Arjuna, Yudhishthira chanting a mantra to dispel the Nagpash, the ropes vanishing. Arjuna gasped, rubbing his arms. "Brothers, he's unbreakable." Bhima fumed, "That Sutaputra toyed with you." Yudhishthira, his face grim, whispered, "We underestimated him. But the Yagna demands Magadha." Nakula said, "He's fast, but we're 5. Sahdeva nodded, "Let's tire him tomorrow." Approaching Bahubali, Yudhishthira said, "Magadha Naresh, the sun sets in 2 hours. We propose continuing tomorrow. Let Dharma decide over days." Bahubali nodded, his tone gracious. "As you wish, Dharmaraja. But accept Magadha's hospitality, stay in the palace tonight." Yudhishthira shook his head. "Our tents are set, and as rivals, it's unfit. We'll meet at dawn." With a final pranipad, the Pandavas departed, their army retreating to camp. Bahubali returned to Rajgir, his heart steady, knowing tomorrow's battles would test not just strength, but Dharma's true path. Chapter 55, The Battles at Magadha's Borders. The first light of dawn crept over Magadha's borders, casting a golden hue on the vast battlefield where the Pandava army encamped, their tents fluttering like banners of defiance. Bahubali, having completed his morning ritual Surya Puja with offered water and flowers, followed by prayers to Mahadev with bilva leaves and chants of Om Namah Shivaya, strode from Rajgir's gates, his Rudrakshmala gleaming against his white dhoti. Accompanied by a small retinue of veiled soldiers, he approached the Pandavas' lines, where Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahdeva awaited, their weapons ready, the air thick with tension. The armies on both sides watched, the silence broken only by the distant call of birds. "Pranipad, Dharmaraja Yudhishthira and Pandavas," Bahubali said, his voice steady and resonant, halting at a respectful distance. "The sun rises on this day of trial. Who will face me first in your one-on-one duels?" Yudhishthira, his regal bearing unshaken, nodded. "Pranipad, Magadha Naresh. We meet as warriors honoring Dharma. Sahdeva will begin." Sahdeva, the youngest Pandava, stepped forward, his sword drawn, his lithe form clad in silver armor, his eyes sharp with determination. Bahubali drew his own sword, Agnikanda, its blade pulsing with faint heat, and they circled each other on the open field, the armies forming a wide ring. Sahdeva lunged first, his sword a silver blur, thrusting with precision honed by Dronacharya's training. Bahubali parried effortlessly, his Agnikanda clashing with sparks, his movements fluid like the Ganga's flow. Sahdeva's strikes were swift, aiming for Bahubali's joints and gaps in his kavak, but Bahubali dodged with graceful tilts, his counter-thrusts testing Sahdeva's guard. The crowd murmured as Sahdeva spun, his blade arcing in a deadly sweep, but Bahubali blocked it with a resounding clang, pushing back with controlled strength. The duel intensified, Sahdeva invoking a lesser astra, his sword glowing with ethereal light as he charged. Bahubali chanted softly, summoning a defensive shield that absorbed the energy, then countered with a precise slash that nicked Sahdeva's armor. Sahdeva's breaths grew ragged, his attacks fierce but increasingly desperate, while Bahubali remained calm, his Vajra body unyielding. The Pandavas watched anxiously, Yudhishthira murmuring, "Sahdeva, hold your ground." Bhima clenched his fists, "Fight on, brother." For 2 hours, the clash rang out, Sahdeva's agility meeting Bahubali's superior skill. Sahdeva feinted left, striking right, but Bahubali anticipated, disarming him with a swift twist, Sahdeva's sword flying into the dust. Sahdeva staggered, defeated but unbowed. Bahubali lowered his blade, his voice respectful. You fought with honor, Sahdeva. Rest now. Sahdeva, breathing heavily, bowed slightly, his face flushed with frustration as he retreated, the Pandavas' expressions darkening. Nakula whispering, he made it look easy. Yudhishthira signaled Nakula, the fourth Pandava, who stepped forward with twin swords, his handsome face set in determination, his armor polished to a mirror shine. I'll avenge my brother, Bahubali, Nakula said, his voice sharp. Bahubali switched to a spear, its tip crackling with divine energy, and they faced off, the crowd's murmurs rising. Nakula charged, his twin blades a whirlwind, slashing in coordinated arcs that forced Bahubali back a step. Nakula's style was elegant, his swords dancing like serpents, aiming for Bahubali's flanks and legs. Bahubali parried with his spear, its shaft blocking the blades with metallic rings, then thrust forward, testing Nakula's defenses. Nakula dodged gracefully, his footwork a testament to his training, countering with a cross slash that grazed Bahubali's kavak. The Pandavas cheered, Sahdeva shouting, show him, Nakula. Yudhishthira nodded, your agility will prevail. The duel flowed like a river, Nakula's speed clashing with Bahubali's precision. Nakula invoked the Vaivyastra through his swords, summoning winds that whipped dust into Bahubali's eyes, but Bahubali countered with the Parvatadastra energy, stilling the gale. For 2.5 hours, they battled, Nakula's endurance waning as Bahubali's strikes grew relentless. Finally, Bahubali disarmed one sword with a spear sweep, then locked the other, twisting it from Nakula's grip. Nakula yielded, panting. You're formidable, Magadha Naresh. Bahubali bowed. Your grace honors the field, Nakula. He Pandavas frowned, Bhima growling, he's tiring, but not broken yet. Yudhishthira, the Dharmaraja, stepped forward next, his spear in hand, his regal armor reflecting the sun. I am your next opponent, Magadha Naresh, he said, his voice steady. Bahubali switched to his axe, its edge glowing with starlight, and they circled, Yudhishthira's calm demeanor masking his skill. Yudhishthira thrust with precision, his spear darting like a serpent, but Bahubali blocked with his axe's handle, countering with a swing that Yudhishthira parried. Yudhishthira's style was strategic, his attacks measured, probing Bahubali's defenses. Your reforms inspire, Bahubali, but the Rajaswaya demands submission, he said mid-thrust. Bahubali replied, dodging, Dharma unites through choice, not conquest, Dharmaraja. The duel was a dance of intellect and strength, Yudhishthira invoking the Agneya Astra form, a fire-surging, but Bahubali countered with Varun Astra, neutralizing it in a burst of water. The Pandavas watched, Nakula saying, by Trata Yudhishthira's wisdom will win. Sahdeva added, his spear strikes true. For 4 hours, they clashed, Yudhishthira's endurance impressive, but Bahubali's superior skill wore him down. Bahubali fainted, then struck Yudhishthira's spear, splintering it, forcing surrender. Yudhishthira bowed. You've proven your might, Bahubali. Dharma guides us both. Bahubali returned the bow. Your wisdom honors the field, Yuvraj. The Pandavas' faces darkened, Arjuna muttering, 3 down he's no god. Bhima, the last, strode forward, his massive mace in hand, his eyes blazing with eagerness. Finally, a real fight? Mace or wrestling, Sutaputra? Bahubali smiled. Your choice, Bhimasan. Let's honor your strength. Bhima grinned. Mace it is. Prepare to feel the might of 10,000 elephants. They faced off, Bhima's gada swinging like a storm, each strike shaking the earth. Bahubali wielded Vayavahara, its storm-infused head clashing with thunderous force. Bhima charged, his blows aggressive, aiming to crush, but Bahubali countered with agility, parrying and dodging, wearing Bhima down till afternoon. Bhima's swings grew wild, his breaths heavy, while Bahubali remained calm, his mace blocking each assault. The Pandavas cheered, Yudhishthira saying, Bhima's strength will prevail. Arjuna added, crush him, Bhima. As the sun dipped, Bahubali maneuvered, his mace hooking Bhima's gada, twisting it free in a deft spin. Bhima roared, discarding it. Arms it is, then. They grappled, Bhima's raw power like a mountain, but Bahubali's technique honed by Mahadeva's teaching prevailed. He dodged Bhima's lunges, countering with precise holds, tiring the giant. Bhima's grabs were ferocious, but Bahubali slipped free, landing blows that staggered him. The crowd gasped as Bahubali locked Bhima's arms, twisting him to the ground in a submission hold. Bhima struggled, veins bulging, but yielded, panting. You win, Bahubali. Bahubali released him, offering a hand. You fought with honor, Bhimasan. Your strength is legend. Bhima rose, his face red but respectful, the Pandavas stunned. Yudhishthira approached, his voice grave. You've bested us, Bahubali. We accept defeat and withdraw our claim on Magadha. The Rajaswaya will proceed without your kingdom. Pranipat. Bahubali bowed. May your yagna succeed in uniting Aryavrat under Dharma. Magadha remains your ally, should you seek peace. The Pandavas, humbled, turned their army back toward Indraprastha, the duel's echoes a reminder of Bahubali's unyielding might and Dharma's true path. Chapter 56, The Rajaswaya's Shadows and Rudra's Return. The Rajaswaya Yagna, a grand ritual to crown Yudhishthira as emperor of Aryavrat, progressed as the Pandavas' armies subjugated kingdoms not under Bahubali's Magadha, including Anga under Karna, Darsana, Nishadha, and Vidarbha. These lands, inspired by Magadha's reforms, resisted fiercely but fell to the Pandavas' might, their banners lowered in submission. With the conquest complete, invitations for the yagna were dispatched across Aryavrat, including to Magadha. Bahubali received the scroll in his sabha, and his ministers gathered as he read it aloud. Dharmaraja Yudhishthira invites us to the Rajaswaya's culmination in Indraprastha, to witness his ascension as Samrat. Sahdeva, his trusted minister, spoke first, his voice thoughtful. Maharaj, this is a gesture of unity, but after our duel at Magadha's borders, attending might reopen old wounds. Yet, declining could strain ties with the Pandavas, who now hold sway over much of Aryavrat. Bahubali nodded, his gaze steady, reflecting on the past conflict where he had bested Arjuna, Sahdeva, Nakula, Yudhishthira, and Bhima in successive duels. The Rajaswaya celebrates their triumph, but to join their celebration after defeating them in battle would be unseemly. Send a reply, I honor the yagna but cannot attend, lest it seem I gloat over our past encounter. May Yudhishthira's reign prosper under Mahadev's grace. The messenger departed, carrying Bahubali's polite declination, faster than the wind. In Indraprastha, Yudhishthira read it, his face calm. Bahubali declines, citing our duel. Wise words let us not push, his stand is honorable. Arjuna nodded, he fought fairly, and his refusal shows humility. Bhima grunted, good riddance, his presence would sour the yagna. The Pandavas proceeded, the yagna a spectacle of Vedic rites, attended by kings under their banner. During the ceremony, Lord Krishna was selected as the guest of honor, his presence a divine seal on the event. As kings offered tributes, Shishupala of Chedai, his voice venomous, insulted Krishna repeatedly, mocking his birth, his deeds, his counsel. The Sabha tensed, murmurs rising as Shishupala's barbs crossed 100, fulfilling Krishna's vow to forgive 99 offenses. Krishna's eyes hardened, his voice resonant. Shishupala, your insults end now. As promised to your mother, I spared you 100 times, but Dharma demands justice. With a flick of his wrist, the Sudarshana Chakra whirled forth, severing Shishupala's head in a flash of light. The Sava gasped, then fell silent, Krishna's act a reminder of divine retribution. In the opulent Mayasava, a hall of illusions crafted by Mayasura, Duryodhana wandered, marveling at its wonders, pools that seemed solid, floors that shimmered like water. Mistaking a crystal-clear pond for a marble floor, he stepped forward and fell in with a splash, drenching his silks. Bhima, nearby, laughed loudly. Andhi ka beta andha. Blind man's son is blind. The Sava erupted in laughter, nobles and kings chuckling at Duryodhana's expense. Draupadi's maids tittered, and even Pandava stifled smiles. Duryodhana's face burned with humiliation, his eyes narrowing as he climbed out, water dripping. He vowed revenge silently, his pride wounded deeper than any blade. Shakuni, seizing the moment, approached Duryodhana in his chambers. My dear Suyodhana, the Pandavas mock you openly, they're Mayasava, a trap to humiliate you. But I have a way to reclaim your honor. My dice, blessed with magic, never fail. Invite them to a game, and let fate turn the tables. Duryodhana's eyes gleamed with malice. Yes, Mama. Their laughter will turn to tears. Prepare, the board will pay them back tenfold. Bahubali and Karna, in Magadha and Anga, received reports of the incident through Nyai Rakshak spies. Bahubali penned a message to Duryodhana, Mitra, heed the past, don't take drastic action that affects the future. Let Dharma guide your response, not anger. Your friend, Bahubali. Karna added his own, Mitra Suyodhana, we stand with you, but revenge blinds. Think of Hastinapura's peace. But Duryodhana's heart was set on vengeance, his pride a wounded lion, roaring for retribution. We cannot contain a wounded lion, he told Shakuni. It will make or break when attacked. The Pandavas will rue this day. Meanwhile, in Patala, Rudra completed his training under Shukrakarya, mastering swords, axes, gada, spear, wrestling, archery, maya, magic, and healing. The Guru blessed him with the Sanjeevani mantra, a sacred incantation to revive the fallen. For your Guru Dakshina, do not show prejudice for Asuras and only kill them when they have committed adharma, and adhere to Dharma as your father does, Rudra. Protect the weak, uphold justice, and let Mahadev's light guide you. Rudra bowed, his voice resolute. I vow it, Gurudev. Your teachings are my armor, I'll serve Dharma with all I am. With Shukrakarya's blessings, Rudra departed Patala, his 16-year-old frame now tall and muscled, his Rudraksha constant companion. Returning to Magadha, he was welcomed with joy, but his heart burned to serve. Reunited with his family, he shared his adventures, and Bahubali, proud, said, Rudra, your path begins. Use your gifts for Aryavrat's upliftment, as Mahadev wills. Rudra nodded, his eyes gleaming. I will, Pitashri. Dharma calls, and I answer. The prince's return marked a new era for Magadha, his training complete, ready to forge his legacy in the unfolding saga of Aryavrat. Chapter 57, Rudra's Return. The gates of Rajgir, Magadha's gleaming capital, erupted in cheers as Prince Rudra returned after 6 years of training under Asur-Guru Shukrakarya. Banners of Shiva's Trishul fluttered from every spire, and citizens lined the streets, tossing jasmine petals that danced like snow in the breeze. Rudra, now 16, rode a white stallion, his lean, muscled frame clad in a simple saffron dhoti, his Rudraksh necklace glinting against his chest, a small shivling tucked in his bag. His dark curls framed a face sharpened by trials, his eyes holding the wisdom of Patala's depths. The people chanted, Jai Rajkumar Rudra. Jai Magadha, as children ran alongside, waving flags. Bahubali and Dushala awaited at the palace steps, their faces alight with joy. Rudra dismounted, touching their feet. Pranipat, Pitashri, Ma. Your blessings guided me home. Dushala embraced him, tears streaming. My son, you've grown so handsome. We missed you every day, Rudra. Bahubali clasped his shoulder, his voice thick. You've returned a warrior, Putra. Tell us of your journey. Rudra smiled. Later, Pitashri. First, to Dada and Dadi they must be waiting. The family nodded, and Rudra rode to his grandparents' modest home in Rajgir's old quarter. Abhiram and Sumitra, seated on their veranda, spotted him from afar, their eyes widening. As Rudra dismounted and approached, Sumitra's hands flew to her mouth, tears flowing. Rudra? My little one. Abhiram stood, his voice trembling. You're back, beta. Look at you, a young man. Rudra touched their feet, his eyes misty. Pranipad, Dada, Dadi. I've missed your kheer and stories. Sumitra hugged him tightly, sobbing. You left a child, returned a prince. How are you, beta? Was the training hard? Did you eat well? Abhiram, wiping his eyes, clasped his hand. Tell us everything, Rudra. We missed you so much. Rudra laughed, hugging them. I'm well, Dadi, stronger, wiser. Gurudev's teachings were tough, but Dharma guided me. I learned astras, Maya, healing everything to serve Magadha. They spent the afternoon talking, Sumitra fed him sweets, and Abhiram shared tales. As evening fell, Bahubali and Dushala joined the family, reuniting in joyful tears and laughter, and sharing stories late into the night. The next day, the palace hosted a grand feast for Rudra's return, tables laden with puris, halwa, and spiced curries, nobles and commoners alike celebrating. Bahubali, beaming, raised a toast. To Rudra, Magadha's future, returned from his guru's grace. The crowd cheered, Jai Rajkumar Rudra. A month later, in private, Bahubali addressed Rudra. Putra, you've mastered basics, now join the Nayati Rakshak. Experience Aryavrat's common life, aid the oppressed, and learn justice's true face. Rudra bowed, his eyes eager. As you command, Pitashri. I'll serve Dharma beyond Magadha's walls. Dushala, teary-eyed, hugged him. Be safe, Rudra. The Rakshak's path is dangerous. Rudra smiled. Mahadev watches over me. I'll return wiser. Bahubali nodded. Go with my blessings, son. Let your heart guide you, as it did in Kashi. Rudra, cloaked as a Nayati Rakshak, roamed Aryavrat, helping the distressed a farmer wronged in Chennai, a widow in Kosala, his alias Shambhu becoming a whisper of hope. One day, in a dense forest, he heard shouts and clashing steel. Spurring his horse, he burst into a clearing where bandits attacked a royal chariot, its guards fighting valiantly but outnumbered. Rudra drew his sword, charging into the fray. Halt, or face justice. His blade flashed, slicing through a bandit's spear, his wooden sword from training replaced by a steel one forged in Patela's fires. The bandits turned, one snarling, a boy. We'll gut you first. Rudra dismounted, his Rudraksh swinging as he parried a mace, twisting to slash the attacker's arm. Another bandit lunged with a dagger, but Rudra dodged, kicking his legs out from under him. Three more rushed, their axes raised. Rudra spun, his sword a blur, disarming one and felling another with a precise strike to the knee. The leader, a burly brute, swung a chain, but Rudra ducked, countering with a thrust that pierced the man's shoulder, sending him crumpling. In minutes, the bandits lay defeated, groaning, or unconscious. Rudra checked the guards, binding wounds with cloth from his bag. A beautiful girl descended from the chariot, her friends peeking out, her silk sari slightly disheveled but her poise unbroken. Pranipad, brave warrior. You saved us from those fiends. I am Charimti, daughter of Dwarkadish Sri Krishna and Devi Rukmini. Can I know the name of my savior? Rudra smiled, sheathing his sword. Pranipad, Princess Charimti. I am Shambhu, a hunter in these woods. Are you hurt? She shook her head. We're unharmed, thanks to you. Please, what can I offer as gratitude? Rudra's eyes twinkled. I helped without expectation, princess. Dharma demands it. Safe travels. He mounted his horse, riding off into the trees, leaving Charimti and her friends in awe. Such humility, Charimti murmured. A hunter with a warrior's heart. Rudra continued his wanderings, his alias Shambhu becoming legend among the oppressed, his deeds a secret tribute to his father's Nayati Rakshak vision, as Magadha's prince learned the true pulse of Aryavrat. Chapter 58, Rudra's visit to Hastinapur. After 6 months had passed since Rudra's joining of Nayati Rakshak, he returned to Magadha. Then Rudra immersed himself in princely duties, attending the Sabha with his father, Bahubali, learning governance, reviewing Nayati Rakshak reports, and sparring with soldiers to hone his skills. Dushala, his mother, watched with pride as he balanced wisdom from Shukrakarya with the compassion instilled by his family. One afternoon, as Bahubali and Dushala sat in their private chambers, a messenger arrived with a scroll from Hastinapur, sealed with Gandhari's emblem. Bahubali opened it, reading aloud. Dushala, it's been too long since I held my grandson. Send Rudra to Hastinapur, he must visit his family, learn our ways, and bring joy to this palace. We await him eagerly. Dushala's eyes softened, her voice tinged with longing. Mata misses him so much. It's been 6 years since he left for training, Bahu. Should we send him? Bahubali nodded, his tone thoughtful. Agreed, Prai. Rudra's ready to see the internal politics of different kingdoms. I'll write to Maharaj Dhritarashtra, asking him to host Rudra and teach him Hastinapur's policies. He'll learn how other kings rule, broadening his vision for Magadha's future. Dushala smiled, though her eyes glistened. You're right, my love. He'll return wiser, but I'll miss our little philosopher. They called Rudra, who entered, his blue kurta slightly dusty from archery practice. Pitashri, Ma, you summoned me. Bahubali explained the letter, adding, you'll stay in Hastinapur for a while, Putra. Learn their governance, observe Dhritarashtra's court, and absorb their ways. Return only when called back. It's part of your education, Rudra, to see how other kingdoms govern. Rudra's face fell slightly, but he nodded resolutely. I understand, Pitashri. I'll honor your wish and learn from Hastinapur. When do I leave? Dushala hugged him. In a week, Putra. Spend these days with us, your grandparents await your farewell too. Rudra prepared, packing essentials. The next day, he visited Abhiram and Sumitra, who wept at the sight of their grown grandson. Rudra, our little one, off again. Sumitra said, hugging him tightly. You left a boy, returned a man now to Hastinapur? Stay safe, Beta. Abhiram clasped his hand. Learn well, Putra. Kingship is duty and heart. We'll pray to Mahadev for you. Rudra touched their feet, his voice steady. I'll miss you, Dotty. I'll return soon, with stories of Hastinapur. They shared kheer, Sumitra's specialty, before he departed, their blessings warming his heart. A week later, Rudra set out alone for Hastinapur, his stallion carrying him swiftly across Aryavrat's plains. It took him a week to arrive, the journey a blend of reflection and adventure. At the palace gates, the Kuru family awaited Gandhari, Duryodhana, Bhanumti, Shakuni, Dushasana and a few other brothers, their faces alight with joy. Rudra dismounted, touching Gandhari's feet first. Pranipat, Dotty. I've missed you. Gandhari hugged him tightly, her veiled eyes misty. Pranipat, my Rudra. You've grown into a fine young man. How are you, Beta? Rudra smiled. I'm well, Dotty, stronger from Gurudev's teachings. Astras, Shastras, Maya, healing I learned it all, to serve Magadha and Dharma. Duryodhana clasped his shoulder, grinning. Banye, you're a warrior now. How are you? Hastinapur missed your pranks. Lakshman asks for you daily. Bhanumti smiled, hugging him. Rudra, look at you all grown. How are you? Your mother's letters say you're a scholar and fighter. Rudra laughed. I'm fine, Mommy Shri. Training was tough, but Mahadev guided me. Shikuni, his eyes sly, bowed. How are you doing, my grandson? Dushasana added, Banye, you're taller than me. How are you? Ready for some mace practice? Rudra grinned, touching their feet. Pranipad, Tat Shri Shikuni, Mama Shri Dushasana. I'm well, eager to learn Hastinapur's ways, as Pita Shri instructed. Duryodhana laughed. Good. We'll show you everything. Come inside, the palace awaits its favorite prince. Gandhari led him in, a maid bringing a tray of kheer. Seated in her chambers, Gandhari fed him a spoonful, her voice warm. Rudra, this kheer is for you. Tell me, how are you truly? Where were you these years? Who was your teacher? Your letters were sparse, and we worried so. Rudra savored the sweet, his voice earnest. Dadi, I'm fine, stronger and wiser. I trained under Azure Guru Shukrakarya in Patala Lok. He taught me astras, shastras, maya, magic, healing, everything to be a just king like Pita Shri. It was hard, but Mahadev's grace guided me. I couldn't send letters because Gurudev forbade distractions, but I thought of you every day, Dadi. Gandhari's face softened, her hand on his head. Azure Guru Shukrakarya. A bold choice, Beta, but fitting for Bahubali's son. We missed you terribly. Hastinapur felt empty without your laughter. Tell us more, what was Patala like? Did you face dangers? Your teacher, did he treat you well? Duryodhana, seated nearby, chimed in, his voice playful. Yes, Banye. How are you now? Patala sounds like a legend. Did you battle demons? And your teacher, that one-eyed sage, what secrets did he share? Hastinapur's waiting for your tales. Bhanumti, beside him, smiled warmly. Rudra, you've grown so handsome. How are you feeling after such a long journey? Your mother's letters said you mastered everything: archery, wrestling, even magic. Tell us about your adventures. We're all ears. Shikuni, his eyes twinkling, added slyly. Rajkumar. How are you holding up after being away for 6 years? Shukrakarya, Guru of Azure, is bold indeed. Did he teach you Maya to outwit foes? Hastinapur could use such wisdom. Share your stories, Beta, we're family. Rudra laughed, savoring another spoonful. Dadi, Mama Shri, Tat Shri, Mommy Shri, I'm well, though tired from the road. Patala was wondrous: glowing crystals, vast caves, and lessons that tested my soul. Gurudev Shukrakarya was stern but kind, like Mahadev himself. He taught me everything he knows. And I missed you all. Your kheer, Dadi, is better than any in Patala. Gandhari smiled, feeding him more. My Rudra, you faced worlds we only dream of. Mahadev blessed you, Beta. Duryodhana grinned. Sounds thrilling, Banye. I'll challenge you to a mace duel. Show me what Shukrakarya taught. Shikuni chuckled. Rudra Shukrakarya's knowledge rivals the Devas. Use it well. Rudra finished the kheer, his belly full, his heart warmed. Thank you, Dadi, this kheer is home itself. I've shared what I can now. Where's Lakshman? I've stories for him too. Gandhari smiled. He's training, Beta. Suyadhana will take you. Rest first, you've traveled far. Rudra nodded, hugging her. I love you, Dadi. Your blessings are my strength. Rudra asked Duryodhana to lead him to the training hall. Duryodhana laughed. Banye, it's been too long. But remember last time you and Lakshman mixed salt in the kheer? The palace cooks still whisper about it? Rudra acted innocent, his eyes wide. Mama Shri, what are you talking about? I don't recall any such thing. Duryodhana ruffled his hair. You're not a kid anymore, Rudra. You can't pull that innocent face and escape everything. Rudra grinned mischievously, and they set off, Duryodhana's arm around his nephew's shoulder. In the training hall, Lakshman, Duryodhana's son, practiced with a wooden mace, swinging with determination. Spotting Rudra, Lakshman dropped it, running over. Bye Trotta Rudra. You're back. Rudra hugged him. Lakshman, you've grown. How are you? Still practicing mace like Mama Shri? Lakshman nodded excitedly. Yes, bye Trotta. I'm stronger now. Want to spar? Rudra laughed. Soon, but first, tell me about your adventures. Any pranks without me? Lakshman grinned. I tried mixing honey in the guard's boots, but got caught. Rudra chuckled. That's my brother. Let's plan better ones without getting caught this time. They spent the afternoon sparring and sharing stories, their bond unbroken after 6 years, the hall echoing with their laughter. Chapter 59, Rudra's Sojourn and the Invitation to Dayut. 4 months had passed since Prince Rudra's arrival in Hastinapur, a time of growth and discovery for the young warrior under the Kuru court's tutelage. At 16, Rudra had immersed himself in the palace's rhythms, his days a blend of learning, training, and family bonds. Mornings began with Gandhari in her private shrine, where she joined him for puja, offering bilva leaves to the Shiva lingam. Rudra chants Om Namah Shivaya with her, his Rudrakshmala clicking softly. Under Mahamantri Vidur's guidance, Rudra delved into politics, sitting in the Savas shadows, observing debates on trade and justice. Vidura, his voice measured, explained, Rudra, a king's word is his sword, sharp but fair. Listen to the people's needs, not the noble's greed. Rudra absorbed it all, asking, Tat Shri, how do you balance mercy and law? Vidura replied, with Dharma's scale, Putra tilted toward the weak, and the strong will follow. Afternoons were for training with the Kauravas and Lakshmana, Duryodhana's son, in the palace grounds. Rudra sparred with mace and sword, his skills matching the Kauravas' vigor. Rudra, your strikes are like Bahubali's. Dushasana boomed, clashing maces. Rudra laughed, Biya, you taught me half of them. But watch this, he dodged, countering with a sweep that sent Dushasana stumbling. Vikarna chuckled, you're a demon, Banye. Evenings, Rudra toured the kingdom with them, visiting villages where Duryodhana's reform schools and granaries thrived. Mama Shri, your people love you, Rudra said, watching children recite shlokas. Duryodhana smiled, like yours love Bahu. We learn from each other, Rudra. Rudra's letters to Magadha were regular, detailing his days. Ma, Dadi Gandhari's pujas remind me of home. Tat Shri Vidura's lessons sharpen my mind. Lakshman and I spar like brothers. Hastinapur feels like a second Magadha. One morning in the Sava, as ministers debated border patrols, Duryodhana rose, his voice confident. Maharaj, honored elders, to improve ties with Indraprastha, I propose inviting the Pandavas for a Dayutsava. It's a chance for brothers to reunite, share stories, and strengthen our divided kingdoms. What say you? Dhritarashtra, leaning on Sanjay, smiled. Suyadhana, a fine idea. The Pandavas are our kin, let Dayut bridge the gap. Vidura, you'll carry the invitation to Indraprastha. Bhishma, Kripacharya, and Vidura suspected a conspiracy, but didn't voice it. Vidura spoke in his measured voice, I will leave as soon as possible, Maharaj. Vidura departed for Indraprastha, his chariot rolling swiftly. In the gleaming Mayasava, Yudhishthira received him warmly. Pranipat, Kakashri Vijaya. What brings you from Hastinapur? Is all well with Pitamaha and Mata? Vijaya bowed, his voice urgent. Pranipat, Samrat Yudhisthira. All is well, but I come with an invitation from Maharaj Dhritarashtra. He proposes a Dyotsava to foster unity between our houses, brothers reuniting over a game of dice. He hopes it will mend the division since Kandabvanam. Yudhishthira's eyes gleamed with interest, his voice enthusiastic. A Dyot? How thoughtful. Dharma bids a king accept any challenge, be it in battle or board. We'll come, Kakashri, let's honor our kin and bridge the gap. When is it set? Vijaya's face tightened, his tone pleading. Dharmaraja, heed me, Dyot is treacherous. Shakuni's dice are famed for deceit, and Duryodhana's pride may turn them to malice. The Sava is in a month, but I urge you to refuse or play with utmost caution. The Kauravas seek reconciliation, but their methods, they risk discord, as in the past. Yudhishthira placed a hand on Vijaya's shoulder, his voice firm yet kind. Kakaji, your concern touches me deeply, as always. But a Kshatriya's honor demands acceptance, be it war or game. I'll play with Dharma in my heart, letting truth guide my throws. No deceit will sway me, and my brothers will stand by me. Prepare for our arrival, we'll set out in a month to Hastinapur. Vijaya sighed, bowing. As you wish, Dharmaraja. May Mahadev guide your dice and protect your house. I'll return with your acceptance. He departed, his heart heavy, as the Pandavas prepared. Bhima, laughing, a game? I'll crush their pride with my luck, Dharmaraja. Arjuna nodded, Gandhava waits, but dice will do for now. We'll win hearts and board alike. Nakula added, it's time to show the Kauravas we're stronger than ever. Sahadeva, thoughtful, said, let's play wisely, Shakuni's cunning is no jest. A month later, the Pandavas, along with Draupadi, arrived in Hastinapur, their chariots rolling through cheering crowds that lined the streets with garlands and flags. At the palace gates, the Kuru family awaited Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Bhishma, Vijaya, Kripacharya, Dronacharya, Ashvathama, Duryodhana, Bhanumti, Shakuni, and the Kauravas, their faces a mix of warmth and underlying tension. The Pandavas and Draupadi dismounted, Yudhishthira leading, touching Dhritarashtra's feet. Pranipat, bade Kakashri. We come as sons, to honor your invitation and mend our family's bonds. Dhritarashtra embraced him, his voice thick with emotion. Smara Yudhishthira, welcome home. May this Dyotsava bring the unity we've longed for. Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, Hastinapur rejoices at your return. Gandhari, veiled, stepped forward, her hands raised in blessing. Live a long life, Putran or Putri. The Pandavas, their faces a mix of joy and caution, entered the palace, unaware of the shadows lurking in the Dyotsava, where fate's dice would roll, testing the bonds of Dharma and brotherhood. Chapter 60, Dice of Destiny. Upon entering the opulent palace of Hastinapur, the Pandavas and Draupadi were gently separated from the Kauravas and escorted to Kunti's chambers for rest and conversation. Kunti, her face lighting with maternal joy, embraced her sons and daughter-in-law. My children, returned to me after so long. Yudhishthira, my eldest, how your heart must yearn for this home. Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, come, sit. Draupadi, my Panchali, you've brought light to our house. Yudhishthira bowed, his voice warm. Mata, we are all fine, how are you? Draupadi smiled, Pranipat, Mata Kunti. We're whole again. The women shared stories, Kunti's eyes misty. The years without you were shadows, but now, with you here, Hastinapur breathes. After a while, the males proceeded to the grand Sava hall, its marble pillars draped in silk banners, the air scented with agar wood. The Pandavas were given seats of honor beside the Kauravas, their thrones carved with lotus motifs. Guests nobles from Kuru and allied kingdoms were welcomed with a flourish, conch shells blaring as dancers in flowing gagracolis performed the Ras Leela, their anklets chiming to flutes and drums. Bards sang epics of the Kurus, praising Yudhishthira's wisdom and Duryodhana's valor. The assembly clapped, the atmosphere festive yet laced with undercurrents of rivalry. As the programs ended, the hall quieted, the main event looming. Yudhishthira's hands itched with anticipation, his eyes gleaming at the polished diode board inlaid with ivory and lapis. A herald explained the rules, his voice clear. Noble assembly, the diode is simple, both parties stake items of equivalent value. The loser concedes or raises the stake to continue. May Dharma guide the dice, and fortune favor the just. Rudra, seated among the Kauravas, observed with a blank expression. Disgust stirred in him. The game's allure was a trap, as the tale of Nala and the Mayanthi taught, where addiction stripped a king of all. He shook his head slightly, murmuring to Vikarna, "This diode is a serpent in silk, Mama Shri." Nala lost everything to its bite. Why tempt fate? Vikarna nodded, "Rudra, your wisdom sees what others ignore. But Suyudhana insists on it for unity." Duryodhana, rising, addressed Yudhishthira with a smile. "Baitrata Yudhishthira, my Mama Shri Shakuni will play on my behalf. Let the game be a bridge between our houses, testing not just luck, but brotherhood." Yudhishthira, confident, nodded. "Agreed, Suyudhana. As a Kshatriya, I accept the challenge. May the better player prevail, and our ties strengthen." The game began, stakes small pearls, jewels, horses. Yudhishthira won some rounds, his dice rolling true, the Sava cheering. "Well played, Dharmaraja," Bhishma called. But as rounds progressed, his losses mounted, Shakuni's die seeming to favor Duryodhana. Soon, Yudhishthira staked and lost the entire treasury, amassed from his Digvijaya a fortune of gold and gems. "It's but a trifle," he said, his voice steady, though his eyes flickered. The Sava murmured, Vijra whispering to Bhishma, "This turns ill." Undeterred, Yudhishthira raised the stake. "I bet the palace of Indraprastha, its halls of Maya and splendor." The dice rolled, and loss struck again. The Sava gasped, Duryodhana's face lighting with triumph. "Baitrata, you've wagered boldly, let's continue." Yudhishthira, his expression resolute, pressed on. "I stake all Indraprastha and its lands." Loss followed, the Pandavas' faces paling. The Sava thought the madness ended, but Yudhishthira's eyes, clouded by the game's grip, turned to his brothers. "I stake Nakula," he declared, his voice tight. Bhishma's face darkened. "Yudhishthira, stop this folly. Even King Nala never staked his kin. Come to your senses, you're a king, not a gambler." Vijra added, his voice urgent. "Dharmaraja, this is adharma. Nakula is your brother, not a stake. End this now, before it consumes you." Yudhishthira's jaw set, his voice defiant. "Pitamaha, Kakaji, I must win back what's lost. A Kshatriya's honor demands I press on. Nakula, do you consent?" Nakula, his face calm, nodded. "Baitrata, I stand with you. Let the dice decide." The game continued, and Nakula was lost. The Sava fell silent, Duryodhana's triumph evident. Yudhishthira, undaunted, stake Sahdeva. Bhishma protested again. "Enough, Yudhishthira. You've gambled your kingdom, now your brothers. This is not dharma, it's delusion." Vijra pleaded, "Tatri is right. Sahdeva is your blood, stake yourself if you must, but spare your kin." Yudhishthira, his voice strained, replied, "I have no choice, victory will free us all." "Sahdeva, your consent." Sahdeva bowed. "As you wish, Baitrata." Loss struck, and Sahdeva joined Nakula as slaves. The madness escalated. Yudhishthira staked Arjuna. Gandhava's wielder, my greatest asset, he said, his hands trembling. The Sava recoiled, Bhishma's voice thunderous. Yudhishthira, you've lost your empire and brothers now, Arjuna? The Kurus will not abide this. Cease, or you'll destroy our house. Arjuna, his eyes fierce, said, Baitrata, I consent, but win this for us. The dice rolled, and Arjuna was lost. Finally, Yudhishthira staked Bhima. My brother of strength, he murmured. Bhishma has given up trying to convince Yudhishthira. Bhima, his voice gruff, said, Baitrata, I trust you. Let the game end with me. Loss claimed Bhima, the Sava in stunned horror. The elders' pleas fell on deaf ears as Yudhishthira staked himself. The Dharmaraja, he declared, his voice hollow. Loss followed, and he joined his brothers as slaves. The Kauravas rejoiced, Dushasana shouting, victory for Hastinapur. The elders stood with bowed heads, disappointment etched on their faces. Dhritarashtra, his heart swelling, said, my sons, the dice have spoken. Rudra, seated among the Kauravas, felt a wave of disgust. This is no game of dharma, he thought, but a pit of adharma. Yudhishthira's pride blinds him, and Shakuni's dice weave ruin. The people thought the madness ended, but Shakuni's voice slithered forth. Dharmaraja, you've lost all but one stake, your wife, Draupadi. Bet her, and win it all back. A Kshatriya's honor demands you risk everything for victory. Bhishma's face paled, his voice a roar. Shakuni, for the sake of the gods, stop. How can you suggest this heinous act? Yudhishthira, come to your senses before you destroy the Kuru name. Vijaya, his eyes blazing, added, Tatri is right. Draupadi is Panchal's fire-born daughter, Arkula Wadhu gambling with her is sin incarnate. Yudhishthira, end this now, or history will curse you. Shakuni leaned forward, his voice oily. Noble elders, it's but a stake, like gold, or land. Dharmaraja, your brothers, your kingdom, win them back with this final throw. What's a wife to a king's honor? Yudhishthira hesitated, his face tormented, his hands trembling. I. But before he could finish, Rudra's voice cut through the hall, sharp and unyielding. Samrat. You foolish man, come to your senses. There is nothing honorable left in you. You are nothing but a miserable wretch, thinking of betting your wife like a sack of grain. Mama Shri Duryodhana, don't malign your name in history by being part of this heinous crime. This is adharma, pure and vile. Stop it now, before the gods themselves turn away. The Sava fell silent, every eye turning to Rudra, the young prince's words ringing like a trishul strike. Yudhishthira's face reddened, his voice defensive. You wouldn't understand anything about the honor of a Kshatriya, Rajkumar Rudra. This is a game of fate. Dharma demands I face it, stake and all. A king risks everything for his kingdom's glory. What do you know of such burdens? Rudra's eyes flashed, his voice steady but laced with disdain. Honor? There is nothing honorable in this farce. You've gambled your treasury, your palace, your brothers, yourself, and now your wife? A Kshatriya's honor protects the weak, not enslaves them. You call this dharma? It's a delusion, Yudhishthir, a pit that swallows the soul. Mama Shri Suyadhana, don't let this stain Hastinapur. End it, or history will judge you all as fools. Duryodhana, his face conflicted, glanced at Shakuni, then Rudra, the hall's eyes upon him, waiting for the Yavraja's word to halt the game's descent into darkness.